All right, everyone. Welcome back to the RePHIL studio. This is your host, SB Philos4. As usual, get your cans ready. I'm going to refill to 99 because we have a special pair of guests here today. And I am really happy and honored to welcome our two special guests, TsyNo, who got first place in the One of Us Afterglow Bandori 3 event, as well as Scarlet, who got T2 in the One of Us Afterglow Bandori 3 event. Both of them were actually competing against each other. And I'm happy to have both of them here join together to share their experiences. So TsyNo and Scarlet, thank you so much for joining the RePHIL studio today. It's a pleasure to have both of you.
It's a pleasure to be here too.
Likewise.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to add to your introduction? So anything else that you would like to share about, anything notable about yourself?
Yes. I'm thinking. Kind of nervous.
No worries. Do you have any other? Nothing else? Okay. TsyNo, what about you?
Nothing much. I mean, aside from, you can feel free to call me Psy if you want to. Most people do, and most of my close friends do as well. So,
all right. Well, Psy and Scarlet, thank you for joining the studio. So, when I invite our guests over to the studio, I always want to ask this question, and it's how they got into Bang Dream Girls Band Party. So maybe we'll start with you, Scarlet. We'll see. How did you get into, how did you first learn about and get into Bang Dream?
So I was a Persona fan at first, like 3 or 4 years ago. I am still a Persona fan, actually. But, Persona had a collaboration with Afterglow, and I didn't start playing the JP server of the game back then, even if there was a collaboration, because I didn't have storage on my phone. So, but when EN server had the collab and it was announced, I had storage somehow, and I decided to download the game. Like, I didn't want to miss out the cards because I loved Ren by the way she looked like, and she was very pretty. So I downloaded this game. And that was the start of my Bandori career, I think, because I got addicted. At first, I actually liked Roselia a bit. Like, I remember saying, Roselia is the best band, or stuff like that. It's very weird of me, because everyone knows me as an Afterglow fan. But when I first read the Persona 5 collab story, I really like Afterglow, and since I got all of their cards from the event, I grew a special bond with them. So, but as time passed, I don't know. That was how I got into the band Bang Dream.
Wow, that's amazing, Scarlet. Again, it's not often, even though it should be I guess really like obvious that a collab with like another series could really get new players into the game. Having Persona fans coming in to play Bang Dream, the collab coming in, it definitely makes a lot of sense that it gathered a bunch of new people to experience the game. So that's a really cool experience there, Scarlet. And Psy, what about you? How did you get into Bang Dream?
That's kind of a funny situation because I was never really a mobile gamer.
Sure.
I was not really that into mobile games, and because most of my life I'd either be playing some like sort of single player game, whether that's like on a Nintendo handheld, or I'd be playing first person shooters on consoles. So most of what I did was just competitive first person shooters, and then I started to get a little burnt out on that at one point. I think it was around 2017. And then that's when I was starting to get a bit more into like anime and anime games. So I decided to take my friend's advice and download Fire Emblem back then in 2017. I think it was Heroes, and then I also downloaded Love Live because I was just like, okay, why not? I trust them. So Fire Emblem Heroes, I didn't get too involved. I mean, I like the characters, but I didn't stick with it too much. With Love Live, it was sort of an on and off thing. I would play it and then have these like huge hiatuses. So like I'd probably be gone from it for like a month or so. Fast forward 2018 in April, like I'm starting to feel like quite burnt out because all the competitive ranked scene, all that garbage. My friend jokingly told me, like, I told him, Love Live kind of is not my forte. It has a skill set that I don't want to try to learn. And then he goes into the Google Play Store and he finds this game and he tells me, hey, you're not going to believe me, but there's this one game on the App Store, the Play Store, called Bang Dream Girls Band Party. And we were sitting there laughing for a good 5 minutes. I was just like, what is this game title and what is it about? I must know.
Curiosity got the best of you there.
Yeah, and the thing is, the reason he found that game, because 2017 was kind of the start of my my low-key idol phase that like I don't really talk about. So when he saw that the game had an idol ban, we were both curious as to how would that work, because most idols are just singing and dancing, and like now this game incorporates instruments. So yes, curiosity got the better of me, and I was the first of the two to download the game, and this was on April 7th, so like not so soon after the game was out. So like I jokingly, not jokingly, I tell people that I am a boomer, but like my ID doesn't really indicate that so much.
Fair.
because there was an unfortunate situation where I had lost my first account and I had to recreate it, which is my current account. So, but ouch. Back then I didn't think I'd get so sucked into this this rhythm game with bands,
Yeah.
So like getting into the game, I was originally a Pastel Palette fan because the idol face. Yeah. And I wasn't very good at it. I'm gonna be honest. Like I never bothered to change my settings whatsoever. So when I started, I was all default all the way to until I tried hard difficulty, but I would consistently die on hard difficulty and normal for that matter.
Wow.
So I thought like this game was super hard, and then my friend comes like maybe a day later, downloads it, and because he has rhythm game experience, like Love Live and other games, he was able to play with his unique style and actually start completing expert difficulties, and he could FC some of them, and I was just like, how? But it wasn't long before that unfortunate accident with the first account that when I made the second account, that's I think when I started to get a bit more involved with the game.
That's honestly really fascinating how for a lot of people, if let's say they lose their first account, I can imagine they lose a lot of motivation to play, and because they have to kind of start from scratch. But if anything, that sort of motivated you further to get into it. So I guess maybe kind of finding some silver linings in something that unfortunate that happened. But again, it's really cool to see that you were able to get into the game with some friends. So with both of you, Scarlet and Tsy, you mentioned that both of you mentioned that you initially liked a different band, Roselia, Pastel Palettes, but then now, as we know, you two are very, very big Afterglow fans. So Scarlet, we'll go back to you first. So Scarlet, what does Afterglow mean to you? And in particular, share maybe a bit about your why you love Afterglow so much, and And I'm guessing Ron's your favorite character, so like why particular Ron?
Okay, so how should I start? I was about to tell about it in the previous question, but I realized we had a question about it, so I decided to say it now. So, like I said, personal collaboration happened, and personal collab story about the first story I read about Afterglow. Mm-hmm. So, and like I said, I got all of their cards, and that made me really happy. And that was the first event I tried to tier top 1K, mm-hmm. but I failed. Anyway, as I don't know how that happened actually, but as I spent time with my favorite band, because the reason was that I had all of their cards, I ended up loving them more. And I don't know how that happened. Like, it started as a love for the collaboration. Like, the only reason was that they had a collaboration with Persona, but mm-hmm. it really changed, and they became one part of me. And I came to love them for the characters they are instead of for the collab, And I'm thinking, I read their band story 2 and 1 in 2 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I just really felt connected to them. I don't know how to explain it, actually. I just really love them and their music, and I love their music, even though many people didn't like them because they weren't very, how do you say it? They weren't very cool as people as expected. And I don't know, they felt very different to me than other bands. I love their friendship. Maybe their friendship was something that I desired to have. Who knows? That's all.
Oh, well, that's again, it's great to see again, just to see how that change, and just again, Afterglow I think is also a band that definitely needs a lot more appreciation. There's a lot of really great connections and the friendship that they have with the characters. So Afterglow is definitely a very great band. And I'm sure, Sai, you probably had similar thoughts when you read about Afterglow. Maybe something different as to, how did that turn into being probably your favorite band as well?
Yeah. So when I restarted my account, I think this had to have been around the time the first Phantom Thief event was going on, so Gokai. And, I was struggling back then, barely even doing hard, and I couldn't even consider doing expert, even though my friend was flexing on me like, hey, I can almost FC this. So it's like, must be nice,
Yeah.
So I decided to take some time, I think, between that event and the following event to read the OG band stories, like, so all 5 of them. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed reading the first band story chapters, but Afterglow, this is like, it wasn't so soon after that my focus from Pastel Ida group switched over to Afterglow, because like after reading their story, they just felt so relatable. Because when I read that they were childhood friends, and they've been together for so long, and when they got separated, so they created their band to stay together, that kind of almost made me remember about my childhood, back when kids would actually go and converse and not just do it through screen. I would have a lot of my neighborhood friends, and I'd like do a bunch of things. We do things together for a bunch of years, and it was only with time that we lost touch, because we got older, we went different paths, and I can only think back on what would have happened if there was a situation similar to Afterglow's where we could do something that would keep us together, but that never happened in my case. But so being able to read that in a story in the game that I just started to get hooked on was kind of fun, and like I said, it was kind of relatable.
Yeah.
And in my case, I'm also guilty of having Ran as my favorite character.
Two peas in the same pod in this podcast, right?
Yeah, because reading the story, I kind of got an impression that at first I thought Ran was just a aloof girl who was just, being distant and somewhat cold. And I have to admit that I am guilty of giving people that impression too. Some people think that I'm like somewhat distant or hard to approach, but really, I'm not really hard to approach. Anyone can come up and talk to me.
That's fair. Well, again, that's really cool. Again, just to hear how, in a sense, Afterglow kind of passed on the torch that they were able to do that maybe you weren't necessarily able to do, but then just being able to see that it was very inspiring for you. So that's definitely very cool to hear.
There's also the other things, reading about how Ran is so shy and how she's easily flustered, and I'm just like, oh, that's cute. And then what really nailed the coffin for me was her competitive nature, and I was just like, oh my god, that's me in a nutshell again. Because of, like I said, before getting into Bandori, I was into the competitive scene for first person shooters. I was just like, I know how it feels to want to reach for the top and strive for like nothing less. And then, but it wasn't until like after finishing up their chapter stories and going to their bios, I found out something really interesting. And honestly, the only thing I could say is that one would probably describe it as fate. I had no idea up until that point that Ran and I shared the same birthday.
Wow.
Must be nice.
Must be nice indeed.
So that, that also settled it. I was just like, okay, this is a cool character in my opinion. Her design is pretty neat, and we share the same birthday. All right, let's see where this goes. I began, just listening to more Afterglow songs as time went by. But at first in 2018, we were kind of limited, and there wasn't too much excitement with Afterglow, as Scarlet mentioned. But they had this charm about them that these are just teenagers trying to figure out their own way. And I kind of like that. They have no idea where they're going, but they're trying to reach for greater heights. So, yeah, that's what kind of kept me with Afterglow after all these years.
For sure.
Yeah. I would like to add some more few things for my story. And how Afterglow was scared of changing until Bandori 2, and I kind of related to that because I'm scared of changing, actually, but I'm also not scared of changing. I'm a kind of a weird person in that case because sometimes I get so bored and want to change things, but I am also scared of huge changes. Anyway, like I just relate to that thing because I don't know, I get really nervous when things around me change. I always want to stay the same as always if I can, and whether my friendships or me, I just want to stay the same as always, I guess. I think at least. I don't understand myself well either, but that was very relatable. And for my love for Ren, she's like the person I want to become. I love her, but I love how I can't speak. I love how rebellious she is and shy. I just find her very relatable. I don't know. I just really admire her spirit, blazing spirit,
Wow. Yeah, definitely. Honestly, two of you, it's so great to hear just the personal connections and just some personal stories that you have to share about your your love for Afterglow, and it's no wonder that the two of you are definitely some of Afterglow's biggest fans out there. So again, thank you for sharing that, and it will definitely, and it definitely leads to the fact that both of you tried to attempt to tier one of us, Bandori 3, which we'll talk about in just a bit. But before we do that, I just want to maybe take the time to learn a little bit more about getting into tiering in Bang Dream, and just kind of how that eventually led up to you wanting to tier for one of us. And Scarlet, I'll start with you again. You mentioned you got booted, unfortunately, from the Persona event, but it didn't seem like that, that did not stop you from tiering. So what happened after? Did you tier any other events before Bandori 3? And like, how did you join the community?
Okay, so there was one event called Stand By You, and I just really liked Easy Come Easy Go song, and that was past one of us for me. Like I just don't know why, but it meant so much to me because I loved Himari, and she was getting appreciated in the story, and the song had a Ren and Himari duet. And I don't know, the song made me really happy, and I just wanted to tier this event. Also, my friend at that time that I was very close to, and I'm still close to, decided to tier a Hero Happy event, and that gave me courage to go T100 and Stand By You maybe, because I just really wanted to try something different and have fun, most importantly. And I just was really excited to try something new for myself for Afterglow, because I wanted to show my love for Afterglow in some way, and wanted to start somewhere, like doing something special for them, because even T100 was such a big goal for me at that time. I was surprised about how easy it was actually, because I could play games, computer games at that time during tiering, and I was shocked. I thought I will never have the time to do anything else. But it was much easier.
Wow. It also kind of shows, right? Like, it's the competitive spirit that you have, maybe being an Afterglow fan. And also, Scarlet, I do agree. Easy Come, Easy Go is a bop. I love that song.
Yeah. Can I talk about my second tiering experience too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so my second tiering experience was Separate Paths Under One Sky. And I was aiming for T100, but I wasn't sure about going for it at first. And I just wanted the cards actually, but I spent 20k on cards and got none of them.
Oh no!
I only got Himari. Yeah, and I was free to play, so a 20k is a big amount for a free to play person. So I just decided to tier out of impulse maybe. So event started at 4 a.m. for me. I will stay up tonight till 7 a.m. or whatever, and try to get a ranking and maintain my ranking until morning. And it was actually a very sad event for me, even though I loved the event and the story so much. It was very emotional. I almost got bothered in that too, and because how shall I say, I didn't expect it to be more competitive than Stand By You maybe, because I went to sleep at rank 40 something and woke up 20 minutes before event ended at rank 99. And I was very nervous, and I was dying. Maybe my hands were shaking. Like, not only I didn't get the cards, and I was about to lose my rank too. And, I just, I even failed the song I was trying to play at that time, because, and, I was really nervous that I failed the song and my rank dropped more. And I was able to save my rank, however, and got 8-9 rank, finished with 8-9.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. The boat is very scary. The boat is definitely very scary, but.
And yeah, at that time, I didn't feel like I deserved my event title because I was almost boarded, and I felt like the title wasn't for me. It didn't belong to me, and it belonged to someone else, even though I put in the effort. And I felt so much regret, and I don't know. I got over it, actually, but it just means how much Afterglow means to me, because the fact that I almost got boarded made me feel like I didn't deserve Afterglow.
Oh no! Well, again, regardless, Scarlet, even any title that people get is well deserved. It requires a lot of time and effort, regardless. So, yeah, thanks for sharing those two T100 achievements, and it's great that you were able to get into the tiering, experience and community from there. So thank you for sharing that. We're going to move on to Tsai, because I imagine your story is probably quite different, but, how did you first get into tiering, and anything notable that came out of that?
Oh man, that's a whole story to unwind and package. Okay, so I didn't join the community until very late. I would say late, but it's pretty relative. I played solo for all of 2018, and I would say probably the first third of 2019, and it wasn't until 2019 that I joined my first server, and that's where I met some of my first friends in the community, and one friend in particular. Oh man.
Oh
man, he's the reason I got into all of this, and I thank and I blame him almost every day. Whenever I can, that is. So one of the first friends that I made, most of you know him now as Flantish. I knew him as back when he had his previous alias. Anyways, back then I found Flantisha to be such an amazing player. So when we would just firefight, I was wondering how such a person could get so good at the game. And at this time, I had learned to play expert. It took me months from 2018. In 2018, it took me months to learn how to even clear experts, and then soon after FC some of them. But getting to know Flantisha, I decided to strive for better results. And so from then on, we would constantly firefight, and he would ask me to help out because back when he was active in the game, he would do quite a few T100s, and I had no intentions of tiering, but that was kind of the start of that. And it wasn't until around February of 2020, months after meeting him, that I decided to just play the Day Off Downtown event. And it wasn't my intention to tier, but around this time for the JP version, so I forgot to mention that maybe when the Persona 5 event was announced in JP, that's when I downloaded the JP version. So since then, since Persona 5 and JP, I've been playing both versions at the same time. Just I would burn 3 flames here, 3 flames there, and I would do that for years to come. So I didn't really have high titles in 2018, 2019. It was just your typical 10Ks, 5Ks, 2.5Ks, and the oddity 1Ks. So we had, learned that we were going to get a new band by that point in JP, and that was Morphonica. And I was like, okay, I need to grind my JP and get the necessary miracle crystals to upgrade all my items right away. And for EN, we have the luxury of it being a year behind. So I told myself, all right, there's a Challenge Live event, and Challenge Lives are notorious for easy miracle crystal gains, because you can, if you play your luck and play the challenge songs at 200 apiece, you can get 20 miracle crystals, like if you're lucky. So that's what I was doing for a day off downtown, and somehow found myself in T100 for the first time. And then not soon after, literally 2 months later, that's when I made my infamous entrance to the community, and was the first time anyone's ever heard of my name. Which, you know, there's a lot to unfold there too. I was not a very popular person per se. I was kind of, you know, being watched and by certain members of the community. People thought I was a little suspect, but I guess that's normal, considering I was the new guy. So a lot of things happened, and what I ended up doing for myself personally is I asked Plantisha, do you think it's if I can realistically T10 this event? Because I had some confidence from doing the T100 in downtown, and considering downtown, I didn't really spend materials. I was just playing as much as I could. So it was something of a flameless T100 for me during downtown. And then cycling seasons comes by. I was like, okay, I will use all my stars, use all my cans. I will play as much as I can, and at the end of that, I got my T10 and kind of established my name in the community for the first time.
Wow! Well, big congrats on that T10. That's quite a jump, right? To go from just casually playing the game, but probably again your previous competitive spirits coming back to say, hey, let's go for these titles, getting the top 100 in downtown, and then cycling, getting top 10. So big props to that. So again, for both of you, for both of you, that those tier experiences are certainly quite important for you, for both of you, and very, very notable achievements. Now, about a year, that was probably, let me do the math here. It's probably like October of 2020, around that time. That's when Bandori 3 was first announced, and Afterglow was the very first one to have featured. So I don't know. I guess we'll start with Scarlet again. When you saw that, what convinced you to say, I'm going for T1 in that event?
Are you sure you want to hear about the story, because it's going to be very long?
We have some pretty very detailed stories from both of you, but I don't mind.
Okay.
Maybe just get a general idea of what your thoughts of getting T1. Now, again, you don't have to necessarily talk about the actual event. Just in general, what wanted you to T1 for this event.
So I was in a car in another city when I saw the news, and I was just jumping around, not shaking, maybe literally not shaking, but I was jumping around, screaming in the car and losing my mind. Afterglow was the first Bandori 3, and I just couldn't calm down at all. Ron was looking gorgeous in her cards, she was very rebellious, and I was losing my mind. I have to T100 this, I have to T100 this, because T100 at that time was my ideal, and I thought I could do T100 again, because I did 2 times already. No, 1 time actually at the time. Anyway, but as time passed, I felt like T100 wasn't enough, and I was actually considering saving a free-to-play spark for Ren, because I really wanted her card, but I was doubting myself at that time, because was T100 really enough for me? Because I loved the event. It was the first Bandori 3, and I woke up at 6 a.m. in the mornings just to see the MV. And I was losing my mind. The cards looked gorgeous. They were reaching out to us, and I don't know. The bond I felt one of us was crazy, and the fact that they considered us as one part of them in the story was just making me lose my mind. I just felt like one part of Afterglow, and that made me so happy, so grateful, because I truly love them. And so I decided to T10 maybe, but by pubbing. So I decided to save my stars for a T10 attempt. But at that time, I wasn't talking to a friend that made me tears stand by you. And that was actually a sad story, because I was very feeling regret. I was feeling very guilty about myself, because I just stopped talking to them out of, I don't know, whatever it was, but I just stopped talking to them because, I don't know, then I felt regret for all the stuff that happened. And I decided to DM them one day to apologize for whatever I've done, and tell them how I feel, honestly. And what a surprise is that they DM'd me on the same day, all of months. And that was crazy. That was such a coincidence. And we made up, actually, and I was able to express my feelings to them and apologize from them. And we actually started talking after that, even if not much. We talked a bit. And I said, I'm going to T10 one of us. And they were like, what? And they asked me if I have a tiering server. I said I don't. I was planning on pubbing alone. But then they helped me find a tiering server for one of us. And that was the start of my journey, because, how should I say this? I was very, very, very beyond words excited. I was losing my mind over this one event, because not only it was just an Afterglow event, it was related to me and my friend too at this point. And I got into my first tiering server. Yeah.
And of course, you eventually got into that server, joining the T10 roster. Initially, if I recall correctly, it was one of our favorite tiers, Kev's, who was going for that T1 event. But then things happened. He had to drop it. And when did you get that notice that, that notice that, hey, like, perhaps you could go for T1, or did like Kev's tell you, oh, you should go for T1, or like what happened there?
Okay, so I said, I spent so much time talking about one of us, and I annoyed people. I really annoyed people, but I was just sharing my excitement, because I was genuinely excited. Yeah. Even if I annoyed some people, I just saw that some people supported me. Some people saw that I was excited and felt the same things for me, with me. And, I just, even T10 didn't feel like enough at one point. And I just wanted to aim higher and higher. So I asked to be on the waiting list for T3. And I somehow got it one day. And my goals got even more bigger, because even T3 didn't feel enough at that point.
Oh, no.
Because I loved the event so much. I just thought that I could be the BC3 T1 was sending shivers down my spine, and it was just a crazy thought. I just wanted to be T1 so much. I just wanted to be the only T1, one of us T1 in the EN server. I weren't enough to express how much I wanted the title, because one of us and Afterglow meant so much to me, and I just wanted to be T1.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny how, like, you know, your initial goal was a T100, and then you decided to shave off a few zeros eventually from that, and you know, you tried to go for that that particular title. So again, that's really cool to hear your motivations to go for T1. But Scarlet, you were not the only one, because Psy also had these thoughts about going for T1 as well. Psy, maybe we'll hear from your perspective. When did you decide that, okay, T1 was going to be, I guess, the goal for one of us? So when did that first start?
So, call me crazy, but that decision didn't come until like maybe a week or two before the event was supposed to happen.
Oh, wow.
But like there's some backstory to this, because as you know by now, I played the JP version and Ian version both. You know, I do consistent nats, so like on the Ian server I get like top 1Ks consistently. On the JP side, it just depends on the event. I'd either get top 10K, top 5K, but then that soon turned into top 5Ks and 3Ks. And then, you know, around October of 2020, when one of us got announced, I was, you know, same thoughts as Scarlet. I was just like, okay, this looks like such a cool event. I remember playing the second Bandori. I had fun with that. Bandori 3, they had new costumes, new cards. When I saw the music video too, I kind of lost my mind of it when I saw that they were doing the whole mirrored thing to like show them their past, and that they haven't really changed much. You know, the saying "same as always." So I was just like, okay, the song "One of Us Too" is an absolute banger, if I have to say it so myself. You know, the intro with the guitar.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. So as soon as that happened, I went into Popcorn and asked around if anybody had a server for the JP event, for the JP server. And someone replied to me, "Oh yeah, this person's gonna go for a T100, but they can use all the fills they can get." And I was like, "Okay, sure, yeah, no, I want a T1K this in JP." Because I've had previous experience doing T1Ks in JP. I think it was like one of us was like my second or third T1K. So I had a fun time tiering that event in the JP server, and made some new friends, some JP tiers, and some people who were like me from the EN server who just happened to play the JP server as well. And by the time one of us had finished, the new friends that I made kind of found out that I have tiering experience in the EN server, and they would kind of tease me a bit, and they would joke around. They're like, "So Sai, are you gonna T1 one of us in EN?" And so that was kind of a joke that I didn't take seriously. I was just like, you know, that would be cool, but there's the whole culture in EN where as soon as an event gets announced, people are immediately prepared to make a server and a roster and all that whatnot. And as you've already mentioned, our famous tier buddy Kev's already had a roster, and he was already running for it, and I just didn't feel like competing against him. Not because I was afraid, but because I just didn't want to compete against a close friend. And I think there was probably a different server, I don't recall, but the whole tiering server, as soon as events get announced, kind of got me down. So, you know, I just brushed off that remark of going T1 and EN, and my decision was to just do what I always do and just get a T1K. Because like, hey, I got T1K JP, one of us. I just get T1K EN, one of us. Just have matching titles
with like far less effort.
Yeah, because I was gonna have like double matching titles. Because I think I T1K'd Dormant Heat in JP. So you know, I was gonna have D1K Dormant Heat and one of us, both titles go well together, and I was gonna do the same thing for Ian. You know, fast forward a bunch of months later, you know, we get the unfortunate news that Ian devs want to go ahead and start a speed up. Oh, yeah, the infamous speed up, huh? Am I right? So many tiers have suffered from it, and one of them being Kev's. So it's funny because it wasn't until recently that I found that the Kevs and I actually don't live too far from each other. So yeah, we're actually IRL buddies, and like we recently went out to get boba, and we had a little Bandori shoot together.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was, I think, the day he decided to drop, we went out to get breakfast together, and he told me that like, oh yeah, I don't think I'll be able to tier the event. And I was just like, okay, that kind of sucks. Really wanted to see you get your T1 finally after the numerous T10s and other podium titles.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I was just seeing tier after tier drop, like join and drop, and I was just like, okay, how many people are actually going to go for this? Because like everybody's motivation is down. So like that slight remark from a year ago could actually become a possibility. So that, you know, and at this point I've made so many friends who'd probably be willing to join me on such a it's a hard goal, I would call it, for lack of other words. But yeah, no, I think one of my friends came up to me and said, "Hey, do you want to compete in this?" And I took the offer because I was just like, okay, you know, there's not many people competing for it anyway. So, and you know, I kind of have emotional attachment from tearing it in JP, and now that I actually have support, you know, it was like very kind of last minute kind of thing, you know. You normally people, you know, 1 year in advance. Me, it was going to be the month of.
Hey everyone, it's Phil here. Hope you're enjoying the episode so far. As a reminder, the RePHIL Studio is available on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. And feel free to subscribe to your favorite platform so that you're up to date with all of the weekly episodes. And if you really enjoy it, feel free to leave a comment and give a high rating on any of the platforms you use. All that support is greatly appreciated. If you really want to support my content and the RePHIL Studio, consider joining the Filler Nation by either subscribing to my Twitch channel or by joining the Patreon. Links in the description below. Any support is greatly appreciated. And again, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to all the Filler Nation members who've been constantly supporting me, and you'll be featured in this video every time. So definitely check it out if you are interested. And for our Filler Nation members, again, I greatly appreciate your support. We have a channel, the RePHIL Academy VODs channel, where there'll be VODs of my streams as well as possible other side projects on the side. So check out the card above if you'd like to subscribe and check out other content that I may be doing in the future. And of course, feel free to join the Anga Academy Discord server, links in the description below, so that you could be up to date with the live recordings of the RePHIL Studio podcast, as well as contribute to the studio question that happens in every episode. So check it out, and thank you all so much for support. The RePHIL Studio episode will resume shortly. Did both of you know that there was competition at a point, and you knew that the two of you were going to compete for this title? And you know, if so, like, you know, did you like say like, oh yeah, good luck, but you know, I will beat you, kind of like messages to each other? Or like, how did you two approach the fact that it was that you two were competing against each other, and like how, like in terms of like communication or preparation?
So I'm kind of notorious for being too much of a memer or a troller kind of.
Oh.
So at first, I don't think Scarlet took it seriously. She probably thought I was memeing like I usually do. Just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play One of Us. Yeah, I'm gonna go compete in it.
Oh,
But
no.
that kind of didn't turn out to be a joke, and uh, December rolled by, and it played out the way it did.
Yes, Scarlett. What about you? Like, did you like what would you what did you think when you first heard that there's competition?
So there's another long story about this, that like I said, I talked too much about One of Us and annoyed people. So
Oh
people
no.
weren't really believing in me that I could do T1. And the burden was getting harder to handle because I'm a very sensitive person. I'm kind of a weak person, both physically and mentally. And I can't handle any kind of pain, maybe. Like, I'm not ashamed to saying this because this is how I am. But it's just, people's reactions about me, I couldn't handle it because people kept talking about me, saying I couldn't do it, I was just messing around, or many stuff like that. I was crying, or I'm not ashamed of all the experience of me, of telling what I went through. I'm just want to be honest here. I just really cried a lot because of people, because I don't know, people really made fun of me for wanting to T1 One of Us. And when the competition existed, and I was very stressed because what if I fail? People will make fun of me. People will make fun of me. People won't stop talking about me. All those thoughts will, mess up with my thoughts. And I just wanted the event to go smooth, and I just wanted to be able to prove myself. That's all I wanted from One of Us. But mostly I wanted the title because Afterglow meant so much to me. Like some people thought that I was just going for the event to prove myself, but that wasn't true. I just really love One of Us and Afterglow, and I love it for all the reasons I mentioned before. And I never went in for other people. I just really love Afterglow. And but the fact that people were talking about me became one of my reasons to go for it as time passed, because I just wanted to prove myself, but I wasn't sure if I could do it because I was a new tierer, and that's why people didn't trust in me, I think. And that's understandable too. Like, people don't expect much from the new tierers, and I don't know. I think I don't know. Never mind. So I was very depressed and always venting in T10 chats, and like, what if I fail? What if people make fun of me? And I was just trying to tell myself that event will go okay, you will be fine, but it won't work because I'm the overthinking type. And like I said, I'm very sensitive to people, and I care too much about what people think about me. And I'm thinking, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
I just was very worried about the competition because I felt like the whole world was against me, even if that wasn't the case. That was just me exaggerating stuff and overthinking, but it felt that way at that point, and I just wished everything could go smoothly. But yeah, that's my story, I think.
I get, again, the anxiety that you got, not only from maybe people who may have doubted you, but just in general, right? The fact that there was also the stress from Bandori, the fact that you didn't know that when your event was going to come. Sai already mentioned it, but you were in the same boat. You didn't know when the event was going to happen either, and I can imagine that caused so much stress and anxiety on your end. But just the strength that you had, the inner strength you had to push on and say that, I want to improve and I want to prove people that I can do this. It really showed. Scarlet,
yeah.
So
can I add some more stuff?
Yeah.
Wait, I forgot what I wanted to say, actually.
Was it about the Bandori?
Yeah. maybe I just wanted the event to start, and it was very stressful, and I don't know. I will talk to my mom all day about, Mom, I want this event to end. Mom, I want the event to come, because I will just get genuinely tired of all this Bandori stuff. And like I said, I'm very anxious person, and all this stuff and people's reactions to me were like messing up with my head, and I couldn't think straight anymore. But I only had one focus on my head, to get one of us T1. And like I said, I care too much about people, and I'm very sensitive, and too bad I get so embarrassed sometimes about myself and my existence. Wait, that sounded very depressing actually, but like sometimes I couldn't even listen to one of us because I was just very ashamed of myself, of the way people talked about me, of the way I become. I just wanted to be someone in the Tyrion community, but it was just a mess at that point, and I felt like I messed up everything, but I still try to remind myself that this is the path you choose. It will end up fine in the end, and that you treasure one of us, and you should hold up your spirit until the end. I tried to tell myself that, and somehow I could listen to one of us, even though all the rumors existed, and even though I was ashamed of myself at times, I could somehow listen to one of us, probably because that song genuinely made me happy. Words weren't enough to express how much I love it. I just didn't care about what people said for once, because I mostly care, but for one of us, I didn't care because I just loved the song so much, and my love for the song was much bigger than people's reactions.
Yeah. Well, again, that's great. Again, thank you for sharing that again, Scarlet. And I think for both of you, it's like quite fascinating. Both of you mentioned this, that in a sense that both of you kind of felt like you were misfits in a sense. The fact that maybe, people didn't necessarily maybe fully believed in you guys. And both of you at the same time decided to try to, play this event in a way to sort of prove to people that this is something that you can do, and that's something that you could genuinely try for, and that's also just so important as to why you guys have also built your separate servers, to build a roster, because as Scarlet, you mentioned, there people in that server, they were all very supportive of you, right? There could be some people around, but everyone in the roster, everyone in the server, they were all very supportive of you. The words that they shared to help you move forward, I would imagine were the reasons why you're able to push forward and be able to kind of forget about what may have happened before with others. So it's very important. And Tsai, again, probably same as you, right? Building the roster, building a sense
you
to
would
try and
think that. You would think that I tried having a roster, and I did at one point, but delay. Surprise! I'm the only runner.
Oh boy, that's crazy. That's crazy. But man, again, despite all that, right? The support that the two of you got in your respective servers, I imagine, was still like you probably couldn't thank them enough of your respective people that could help you fill for all those.
That's another
times.
Thing I want to talk about actually, but in the other question.
Well, why don't we talk a little bit of the day by day, because again, you guys are like neck and neck, right? You're playing on a day by day basis. What was that like? Notice playing every day, right? Tiering, and the fact that you were bouncing between first place and second place. I'm pretty sure you guys flip-flopped like so often throughout the event. How was that like, playing on a day-by-day basis?
Okay, should I start?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so first day, we actually started the game earlier than we should have, and didn't get any EP at event start, but we completed the event missions. It was very weird, and it was probably a bug.
Oh
And because we
no.
completed the event missions but didn't get EP.
That happened on my side as well.
Really? Wow, Bandori.
Yeah, that was very funny, and I was very nervous, and I just kept pushing myself, and I played until 45 hours and 45, yeah, and without breaks. I couldn't even get up to wash my hands, even though I sound disgusting by this.
Oh no.
I just couldn't wash my hands for 3 days, maybe. It was very disgusting, and my hands were sweaty, and I was hallucinating so bad. My back hurts, and like I said, I'm physically very weak. And like my mom told me the other day to break spaghettis, and I couldn't even break them into two. Like, I'm that weak, and it was very surprising of me to go those hard. Like, this is against his sleepness, because like I said, I'm very weak, and even my mom was surprised, and she was very worried. That one night she came into my room and said, "I can't sleep. I'm so worried about you." That made me break at 45 hours, and I said, "Guys, I'm sleeping. The game isn't worth more than my mom." And we slept together. We hugged each other for 3 hours, and it was actually a very nice night. And she woke me up after 3 hours because she agreed to wake me up each night, actually, if that means I slept.
Mm-hmm.
And one night I was very bad, actually. I remember hallucinating something black moving in my room, and that was very scary.
Oh no.
And actually, I thought I was walking into an invisible wall once, and I paused in my spot, and when am I walking into? I just looked around. It was very weird, and hallucinations were very bad. And one night I was actually shaking from hunger, waiting for my mom to wake up and prepare me breakfast, because she did every day, thank God. That night was the worst night of one of us tearing, maybe because I was very fragile from tearing, shaking. My body was weak. I was like losing my mind. And I was also posting my progress on my Instagram stories at that point. And I was like, I want to give up on my stories. Then I don't want to give up. I want to give up. I don't want to give up. It was like the mental mind swings were crazily intense. Like I kept on having mind swings, mood swings, and I was literally losing my mind.
Wow. Again, it's scary, right? Because you were playing for so long. Because again, there was competition, playing for so long, for such a long period of time, and I could just imagine how much that would affect you. Just playing for so long without much sleep, and the hallucinations, and not being in the best state of mind could definitely affect you. But at least one thing's for certain. I'm glad that you had in real life care from your mom, because otherwise it could be really scary, right? Like it's kind of hard to think, but tearing could be pretty scary for the health. And without without in real life care, it's hard. It could be really difficult.
Yeah, to talk more about my experiences, sometimes I did gacha therapy. I spent G's because I wanted Ren. I wanted her to be my motivation, but she never came home again, because she didn't came home again last year too on JP server. No. And I spent 30K for her on JP. It's very sad.
Oh, I don't think that qualifies as therapy, Scarlet.
Yeah, it doesn't. But one day I said I'm gonna daily rant, and I daily I posted on my announcements on the server. I daily Himari, where is friend? It was very funny. And sometimes I have panic attacks, like I needed to break the braids, and my internet speed was very slow. Like we tested it with TsyNo the other day and on GP server, and I was 4 seconds late to the room than him.
What? Oh no!
I can't even
Tier speed.
I can't even send the video of it. Like it was very crazy, and I was never mind. That's related, but my phone was slow, my internet was slow, that I had to use my mobile data for it, and even my mobile data wasn't fast enough, and my rates were awful. I kept having breaks because of panic attacks, but I still managed to reach 65 million something, and it's crazy.
The fact that you were able to keep pace even with all those those slight inefficiencies, and again, for newer tiers, if you're a little less efficient, it doesn't really matter too much if it's not competitive, but those little inefficiencies could really make or break a result. And the fact that despite all those things against you, Scarlet, that you were still bringing up a very competitive fight, it shows. And you said it earlier. You said that you wanted to prove that you were a strong tier, and I think that event did indeed prove that you were one. You were very strong tier. So
I want to add some last things before I pass the button to TsyNo. And like I said, I had so much support in AOU server. All of us, it stands for all of us, and I couldn't thank them enough for all the things they brought for me. They even drove something for me, and I just can't thank them enough. I kept reading the server messages during tiering, and like I even sometimes go back to the server to read all those messages because people were very nice. And like I said, some people didn't support me, some people got annoyed by me, but some people also supported me. And I felt like I relate to one of our story in this case, because like in one of us, Afterglow faces against rumors and realizes that people support them. And I feel like the same case is the same case for me, because even if there were rumors about me, people supported me, and I didn't want to disappoint them. And after the event, I was very depressed, like very, very depressed. And I'm kind of ashamed of that, because I felt like I disappointed all those people that supported me by being depressed about my result. But I learned to treasure my T2 after all, and I'm proud of how far I've come, because I think I can finally see myself in a good light and stand strong. Even if I fail T1, I'm just happy, and I'm forever grateful to the server. And I actually considered turning the server into a public server called AOU, but that's not going to happen probably.
Okay. Well,
because the people meant so much to me. Okay, that's all.
That's fair. But again, Scarlet, again, big congrats on your T2, and thank you again for sharing that perspective of your story. It just shows how dedicated you were and how strong you were to push through and compete all the way to the bitter end. So again, thank you for sharing that. So TsyNo, for you, let's take a step back for you, because Scarlet shared her sort of day to day. Well, what did your day to day look like in One of Us, if you can recall?
Oh boy, here we go again. Memes, we love them.
Oh no.
So choosing the server tag, this is important. First thing to mention
for context.
Server tag. Yeah. So I'd asked in the server, all right, what do you guys want as a server tag? And I'm up for whatever. I'll do what the fillers want. And we had some decent suggestions, but it wasn't until Speedy Rogue made a very funny suggestion that I think it was pretty much unanimously accepted that was going to be our tag. And he told us maybe we should be, if the other server is going to be AOU, maybe we can just be no you. And the no you stands for none of us, because it just felt a funny situation that we can make, considering I didn't have a roster, so it was just me as a runner and like all the kind people who joined my server to help fill for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So day to day, okay, so when one of us started, I had tried to fix my sleeping schedule to so that I would wake up like maybe an hour or two before the event started, because if I were to have woken up at event start, I would have been groggy. I would have missed all that. So I tried to do that, but I just couldn't put myself to sleep. And I tried, and I got some decent amount of sleep. And I think I woke up like maybe, like I think it was an hour or so before the event started. I got my iPad ready, got my fillers ready by the time the event started, and we just went from there. The thing about this is I was kind of expecting a rough ride because I didn't transition to iPad until October. Like it was literally this past October where I got an iPad for the first time, and the reason for that was for school stuff. But luckily, I had it because this was around the time where the Bandori started experiencing the Android crashes, where my native game is at.
Oh no!
So yeah, I'm a thumb player and an index player on my Android device on my phone. So I practice a lot of index and thumbs just so I can be able to switch between the two play styles. And seeing as how Bandori was just crashing, and unfortunately my device had updated to Android 12, which no support whatsoever for EN. So just constantly crashing. So I had to swap to iOS back in October and didn't really practice like long term. I told myself, okay, I learned how to play on the iPad. I should be fine. For me, the event started on Saturday evening, and then Monday evening was when I was scheduled to take my last exam for school. Because for some reason my professor was just like, yeah, no, we're not going to have our finals like that Saturday evening. I could have done my final Saturday evening and start tearing without worries. So come by Monday, I had planned to sleep on time and then wake up to take the exam and then get back to tearing. But my inexperience said otherwise, and I ended up getting a 1 hour feature block.
Oh no!
Yeah. So when that happened, I immediately told myself, you know what? I'm just going to go to sleep earlier than intended to, and then when I wake up, I'm going to focus on that exam, take it, and then get back to tearing. And that was the first time that people were a bit worried, because that's, if you were to see the graph, that's where I first dipped and took my long break. And from then onwards, it just felt like, okay, I just lost a potential lead because of my inexperience and because of an exam that should have been on the weekend prior. So that day 2 for me really just kind of sucked. So I got back into it, and all I could really do is play, even though I was a little demotivated at the time, losing that kind of lead. And I'm a bit analytical, so I didn't undermine Scarlet, but I did take notice of her previous tiering achievements. So, I was telling myself, is this girl ever gonna sleep? That's just how it is when you're gonna tier competition. Do you sleep first, or does your competition sleep first? And in our case, I ended up forced to sleep because of the whole feature block. But yeah, no, I just started playing again. like every day in one of us, I was actually in VC, so I'm not afraid to just be in VC and talk to anybody and everybody. I like meeting new people, and if they want to talk to me, they can come up to me and say hello whenever they want. So in VC, the entire time I was just trying to forget about that whole situation that happened and just play it out. I think the following day, though, after I took my rest, I woke up and my my internet service provider decided to be funny, and my internet wasn't working for like the first 30 minutes after waking up.
Oh no!
So I pretty much had assumed at this point that my internet was probably out for like maybe an hour or two, but I was lucky enough to like it only lasted like 30 minutes or so. So I switched over. I like those 30 minutes though I didn't have it. I turned on my mobile hotspot and just connected my iPad to that. So that was that. But just day by day, I honestly think it was the most fun I've ever had in a server because, first and foremost, that was like the first time I had a server for myself where I was tiering. I had joined other servers, but like I never really interact with them. But in this one in particular, there were nights where we just like watch movies for hours, or when people got bored of that, we ended up singing. Well, I did a lot of the singing too, but close friends joined in on that too. So it was always alive. They're like there was like not a moment that you wouldn't see me in VC. Like I would stay there even if like no one joined, but there was always someone who would come in and make sure I was okay. Because Scarlet really did put me through the ringer for those 8 days.
Oh wow!
The crazy part was that when I forgot which day it was, I think it was maybe day 7, like near the ending of day 7 or maybe the middle of day 7, where we started to get our lead back, and I think this was when Scarlet took her 5-hour resting period.
Yeah.
And I made a rough decision of trying to tier the last 30 hours on 3 hours of sleep. After all of that, I had to do something because I was already falling behind from like all the setbacks that I had, my device inexperience, the feature block, the exam, the internet going out. So yeah, like in the middle, like that whole day was, you can say I was a bit not in my head, I was kind of being entertaining to other people. So, things wouldn't get boring. I was kind of acting like a little bit of a wacko and kind of an idiot.
Oh no.
And it was just a bunch of laughs here and there. I think, when we didn't have enough fillers, some of the boys came in and they were just like, "Oh, I don't have like the best device on internet." I was just like, whatever, sure, just come in. I don't care. Having fun. We were kind of trolling because we were not menuing fast. We were kind of picking different songs that wasn't A to Z.
Oh.
But somehow we were still being more efficient than Scarlet's side. I don't know how.
Oh no!
You can, and then later on, I think to get even faster, we had the tablet squad roll up, and that's when the first time in the event where we actually started going like really fast. Because we would average like, I don't know, I think it was like 25, 26 the normal average, and then I think we went to like 27, 28 after we got the high-end tablets to roll up.
My average was like 23.
Oh,
I don't know.
I
don't know. I just calculated, and like if I had 26 per hour, I will have reached 70 million something. I think 7. Yeah, 7.
Wow.
But yeah, like so the entirety of that event, I would either be playing special or normal, and then it got to the point where I was dying on,
Easy.
special, so I went down to normal. Yeah, it was dying on special, went down to normal, dying on normal, went down to easy, and then there was this one break where I just kind of had enough of myself. I kind of like not slap. I kind of like, I guess you figuratively slap myself in the face, and I told myself, okay, I'm gonna play special, even though I'm like dying on easy. And then my fillers who like had their SO5 healers, they felt bamboozled after I started playing special again with like -1 for like, to not FC the song.
Oh man.
Those moments were really funny to me. It's like you see me just dying and then just back to normal all of a sudden.
Yeah. I've definitely seen that before.
Yeah.
Oh, Scarlet, you were saying?
Yeah. I had my funny moments too. Like, I was really totally preparing for events that I was overthinking about everything to the refilling with people. Like, I was actually thinking about refilling with my wall roster with cans if they're available. Then, if I'm refilling with stars, they should refill with stars too. I was always thinking about those stuff, and I even considered, what if there's a power outage and the power actually ended up going out during the second day of the event, and
What?
I had prepared a power bank for my phone charging, and I was very shocked because was it funny that I prepared, or was it sad that it went out actually?
I didn't even get to the craziest part of it all.
Uh-oh.
So this is so the entirety of the event, like I really did try to be as efficient as possible. So that really did involve a bunch of toilet dory. And unlike Scarlet, I'm kind of the complete opposite. So during that time, my family is really busy because that's Christmas time. So they're doing their own thing. So I didn't have the IRL care she did. They were just like, "Oh, can you help us out? Do something?" I'm just like, I'm in the middle of a competition. Ask me next week." Situation.
Next week.
And the entire time, well, like for most, like the first half of the event or so, my staple for food was literally water and almonds, which I like to refer to as tearing nuts. So I was like living off of just almonds, and it wasn't until Christmas where like Kev's rolled by. He's like, "Here, I'll buy you food." And I thought he was joking. He actually came up to my door like, "Merry Christmas." What a lad. Yeah. Saving me when my family couldn't. But the back to like the crazy part. So I had prepared in advance to have like caffeine just in case like it came down to it. And I'm not a caffeine person. I don't really like to drink like coffee and all these other drinks that provide it. It's like energy drinks like also fit in that category. I just don't drink any of that stuff. Get caffeine from like all the other sources you can possibly get it from. So I asked my family like, "Oh, can you just like make me some coffee?" And because like I might need it, because I was attempting to do the last 30 hours on 3 hours of sleep, and I was already physically drained and mentally drained at that point. And I think my dad had bought me a can of Red Bull too that day, and I was just like, "Oh, which one do I take?" So I think I drank the coffee first, but it wasn't like, after a while it wasn't really doing anything for me, because I know it takes a while to kick in, but like I said, I never really drink that stuff, so I didn't know how it would affect me. So I was just like, my brain was just like, okay, just drink the energy drink then. So that last like few hours, I was on coffee and Red Bull, and
So bad.
it only lasted so long before like I was like really tired. I couldn't really move my fingers much, and I was like the most depressed I was all event. You know, I was being really negative, telling myself, "Oh man, I can't do this. I can't do this." I really wanted to give up there, like those last few hours, uh, and just like let Scarlet win. But thankfully, one of my close friends decided to like actually stick, just stick around and keep pushing me um, to my limits, and just tell me it's okay if you want to give up, but you've worked so hard. And hearing that kind of talk kind of knocked some sense into me, so I decided to take a high risk high reward kind of challenge. And I told myself, all right, I'm gonna sleep for 30 minutes. And you can imagine how that is after being on coffee and Red Bull, or like an energy drink. So yeah, I took that gamble. I slept for those 30 minutes and I woke up. And the thing is, I don't think, like, I still couldn't really move my fingers much for my iPad. So I had searched for the charger in my household, because I have my sister's like old iPhone that she keeps as a backup with me. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, all right, just charge the iPhone while I play for a bit and then swap my account over to that. So I went from, my Android phone to the tablet to an iPhone towards the end of the event. And, I had to risk it all in a 30-minute sleep, which I think was miraculous that I even woke up in the first place.
Yeah. Crazy.
And then I went straight into, like tearing. And then when I swapped over to the iPhone, I started playing my thumbs, because that's how I first started the game. I started it on thumbs. So like I said, initially I wanted to just tear it on my phone, thumbs, and swap back and forth between index and thumbs. So yeah. I really think that was a dumb decision by me on the final day, but it somehow worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I would like to add some more things, even more things.
Yeah, of course.
I keep talking because it's very fun to talk about their experiences, and I don't want to miss this chance. And even before the event, actually, people told me, Scarlet, you will need energy drinks, you will need all sort of things, because you need to stay awake. And I was like, okay, I will buy one energy drink. And they were like, one won't be enough. And okay, I will buy two. And my mom, because my mom didn't allow me, my dad didn't allow me to. And one day we had a fight over it, actually. And, I actually didn't end up drinking them. I mean, I ended up not drinking them during the event at all, because I played the whole event with caffeine, but on coffee, and those energy drinks are still on my fridge, and I find it funny.
Wow. Those energy drinks are like the badges to remind you that like you did this without caffeine.
Because my mom didn't allow me. And the last horse were the hardest, maybe, including the night I talked about before, that I was shaking up from hunger, waiting for breakfast. Other than that, the last horse were hardest, because we were on a 30 or 33 horse run, and that's even harder than the initial run, because I went 45 horse on initial run, but still I find the 33 horse run more impressive than that, because all the exhaustment on your body and the mental tiredness, and you still manage. We still managed to do those over 30 horse run, and I was very surprised by how far we went.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the end of it too, like I didn't think I'd get to part, because originally I had planned to park for 410 because my birthday and Rand's birthday, but I didn't have time for that. So I had a few friends like use the spreadsheet to figure out how to park because it was ML. I wasn't gonna take my time to learn how to park ML when I was that tired.
Yeah.
And so they guided me the last few minutes of the event, and I think it was like maybe like a minute left or like 2 minutes left, and it was pretty much all or nothing there. I had one shot to land the score. If not, I missed the park. And I think I did the play, I landed the score, and I parked with like 20 seconds remaining in the event.
Wow.
That's very funny. I wish I could have parked, but I didn't because I was just very tired and I lost. Okay, I lost. I don't care anymore. I don't care about park. I don't care about anything. I was in that kind of mindset.
Yeah, and you basically pushed until the very end, and played until the very end, which is very impressive. Faith. Yeah,
because people helped me with carry rooms, and I actually thought I will get T1 in the last minutes, but then I realized that wasn't possible. But I actually had hoped that it would happen if TsyNo got featured.
I mean, if TsyNo like passed out for like an hour, you never know, right? So
yeah,
I couldn't have woken up at all, probably. Somehow did.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That, like, honestly, like, again, for those who did not witness the one of us tearing, it was probably, and many of our live viewers could probably agree to this, and I would definitely say it was probably one of the most entertaining experiences and the most competitive. It was the most spirited, one of the most like amazing experiences to watch, just going neck and neck right until the very end. Like literally, no one would ever know who had actually won until like the very, like almost pretty much at the very end, which is absolutely crazy. Just shows the dedication that both of you had to get this event. Ultimately, in terms of rankings, there's only one winner, but I think for everyone who watched that event and got to witness that amazing spectacle, I think both of you are winners in this. So big congrats to both of you. And again, it's so amazing to hear the experiences that both of you had. And especially, like, I don't know if you two had the chance to share like an experience from like competing servers of how this, but like, it's just really interesting to see how, competing servers and their own unique experiences, see what they thought about the other server and like, how that worked. But again, it's just so cool to hear this experience. So again, big congrats on both of your respective titles in one of us.
Thanks. It's also funny that you mentioned that for everybody who watched it, everybody who was watching it, like, either filling for me or in VC, they made me laugh for like a few minutes straight because they were so entertained by the 2-minute tracker over anything else.
Yeah. That 2-minute tracker was crazy.
I was like checking the 2-minute tracker every time in G1 chat, and I was told to stop at one point because I was just spamming the G1 chat.
Everybody's like, is he gaining? Is he losing? Or is she gaining? Is she losing? Everybody was just popcorn all around.
My dad was like coming into my room each time. He was like, "Are you winning? Are you winning? Are you winning?" Son meme.
Are you winning? Instead of "Are you winning, son?" is "Are you winning, Scarlet?"
Yeah, he kept asking me, "Are you winning?" And I was like, "I'm not winning or losing. It all depends on him if he sleeps or not. We don't know yet."
Oh man,
that is.
I am notorious for like not really sleeping much. Like I think my normal sleeping days like either 3 to 5 hours or something like that. Like I do a lot of just doing nats for both games. So like in terms of my efficiency, like I'm like ever since I started T1King, I'm like 96-ish% or maybe more efficient. Like these days I'm just kind of in a state where like the game kind of isn't worth it anymore.
Yeah. At one point, I saw TsyNo play D4 DJ during one.
Playing D4 DJ Groovy Mix. Like, whoa, what's going on there?
Okay, did you stop? Can I play now?
See, here's the thing, right? I will never forgive Bushi for what they did to me, because one of us should have been in October.
Mm-hmm.
As planned, but delay. And what ended up happening is my favorite unit in D4 DJ and Best Girl just so happened to have such a perfect event, and it happened at the same time as one of us.
You had to make a decision.
Yeah, I had to make a decision. I could have T10'd in both games, or went high one and the other one low, but I really would have liked to go like podium maybe in that event.
Mm-hmm.
But I just didn't get the chance. But luckily, D4 has the auto mode, which is something that I'm thankful for, because I was just like the entirety of the one of us event, I'd have my phone just playing on auto, and that's what Scarlet saw. Because Android has this Samsung in particular. Samsung has this agreement with Discord, and if you sign up for that, you can show your activity to friends. So like my activities, whenever I'm playing Bang Dream or D4, it'll show up on my Discord status.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when I was just autoing D4, that's what she saw.
Well, yeah, that's just the unfortunate thing with Bushiroad, with Bandori, and again, we had all these issues with the game, and we're now going to continue to have issues with the game, with another schedule swap. But that's just how it is.
That schedule swap kind of almost makes me feel like really just stopping once I hit my goal of rank 300, which I'm very close to.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll probably...
I recently hit 100 mil XP in the Buddy Buddy event, and leveled up the following day, so I'm 294 now. Getting closer each day.
Well, I mean, once you go for your next whatever goal you have in mind in your future tiering events, I'm sure that you'll eventually hit it. So maybe we'll briefly talk about that, just to kind of hopefully kind of bring this all together. In terms of like future events that maybe the two of you want to tier, or any plans. So Tsai, do you have any plans in mind in the future on what you want to tier?
Well, there is one that is remaining a secret for now.
Okay, that's fair. Don't have to share.
The community will just have to wait for that one.
Okay.
And the other one, I've let various people know, and it's already a public thing, that I'm going for bandwagon as well. The Pure Glow event.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's kind of like one of the last events where I felt there is a nice looking title. It's a versus live event that I've never tiered a versus live event like high, that is. And it's kind of right before what I consider to be the downhill that I kind of don't like the direction the game has been going. And bandwagon's kind of like the last event that I in myself consider to be good. Because now we're gonna deal with team lives, medley lives, all these. Yeah. It's just like, every other like 3 events is a medley. And the fact that Scribble should have been team live and turned mission live kind of upset me too. Yeah. So it's just a lot of things going on with Bandori, and I'm just, my true retirement, I would like for it to be bandwagon, but seeing as we still have all these reshuffling, I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, let's hope that things work out well. So whatever your secret event comes, or when bandwagon comes, we'll see how things go. Maybe the game will improve, but hopefully things will work out on your end. And Scarlet, what about you? Any whale thoughts on your end?
Yeah, there are so many.
So many. Uh-oh.
I don't have any money to afford them all. That's the sad part of touring. I had to save a whole year for one of us after all. And I'm planning an event that I will not like to say yet, but other than that, I'm planning to tier T1 in the next RAM banner in the JP server. I mean, not in the JP server, but when it comes to the end.
So the next one. So that would be, what was that again?
The Rand Medley Live.
Oh, yeah.
No, not Medley, please. Anything but Medley.
Medley is all we know now.
Yeah, that's all we know. It's only Medley.
I actually considered saving for a year in JP and tiering JP T50 or T1. Not T1, sorry. T10 maybe. But JP, I will have to put in one of our hearts again. And I tested my internet speed anyway, and I'm not willing to slow down to Japanese people.
Yeah.
With my speed. And, that's... I won't tier JP, I think so. And I'm just planning on tiering the next RAM banner. And maybe Scribble, if the RAM banner is late, I'm planning to tier T3 maybe. Scribble in the blue.
Okay. Well, all the best to both of you and your tiering goals. And again, for those who would like to reach out, for those who are listening and like to reach out to our guests and be able to support them, again, all the contact information can be found in the description of this video. So you could message them and say, hey, I want to support you in your goals and help them in their server. So feel free to do that. And again, I'm sure our guests would love your support and be able to appreciate it. Yeah,
anyone's welcome to join me. I'm not biased to anybody. Like I'll appreciate all the help I can get.
Yeah, me too. I love everyone.
Well,
maybe we could have more people singing with me next time.
Cheering karaoke.
Let's go.
Well, honestly, you two, it's been such a pleasure to have both of you on the studio today. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your amazing stories about, especially with one of us, but, just in general, how you got from, your tiering experiences. Again, as I mentioned before, you two are very, very big Afterglow fans. And, if Afterglow is out there, they would be very proud of you. So big props to both of you on your achievements. Sai with your T1, Scarlet with your T2, and all the best in your future achievements as well. Yeah. So before we go, any last words to our guests?
I love Afterglow. One of us.
I mean, like I said before, if anybody ever sees me around in the community, don't be afraid to talk to me. I'm not as unapproachable as you think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
I'm a goofball at heart.
I just want to be approachable as much as possible. I just want, Yeah.
Well, again, it's been a pleasure having both of you in the studio. Thank you all so much for listening. Our set, I think our game is glitched a little bit. Our set kind of went a little longer than 99, but that's perfectly fine. We found a way to add 120 cans or something, or 120 energy to our set. But thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of the RePHIL Studio again. Check us out on all of your favorite podcast platforms. And if you would like to join the Young Academy Discord server to contribute to the studio question, I'll have it on the video at the end. No, we don't have time to discuss it, but we'll have the question on there at the end as well. But again, thank you all so much for listening. This is your host, SB4 signing out. Get your cans ready for the next refill at our next set. But until then, thank you all so much for listening, and bye-bye.
See ya, guys.
You guys, thank you for everything.